Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Joshua, what are you doing in here? Is that a nuclear bomb? Where did you learn how to make this?
I found out how on the internet. Ha! I'm finally gonna show that bitch teacher Mrs. Henderson a thing or two about physics.
The internet may appear like it's full of information, but most of it's the wrong kind of information. Like how to pick locks, steal calls from payphones, and suffocate classmates. Keep off the internet. This message brought to you by Citizens United Negating Technology for Life and People's Safety.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 399 of Third Shift. It is the last episode before the 400th episode. We've almost done it. I was going to say we did it. I was getting ahead of myself, Matt, because you know what? I would have said that, and then later on tonight or tomorrow, I would have died.
Yeah.
That's what would have happened. I can feel it in my bones, but I didn't. So I have eluded danger, death, yet again. Whoosh. And if you didn't know, yes, he's there. Of course he's here, people. What do you think? You think episode 399, all of a sudden Matt's not going to be here? Not happening. It's not happening. He's here. The Inglorious Bastard himself. He's sitting across from me, sort of, right there in the screen, in the monitor. He's here for a wonderful episode, a fun episode. But, of course, before we talk about video games and all sorts of other random things, we have to say, what did you do this week? What's going on? How's your life? What's happening?
I know Eric's mad at me. He's pissed off. He's scared. He's looking at the show notes, and he goes, Jesus Christ, you wrote a whole goddamn paragraph in here.
Yep.
But I'll go through it fairly quickly, but not super quickly. Last week on Thursday night, the reason why we had to do a Wednesday show, we did a Wednesday show last week, right? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know week to week. Next week's the Wednesday show, by the way.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Oh, man.
I know.
Whoa, you're going to ruin my whole life.
I got to rearrange everything. This sucks.
Well, hey, listeners, if you want to get in some congratulations on the 400th episode, get it to us by Tuesday then, so I can put it in the show on Wednesday when I do the edit. Hey, check it out. Or I guess since you're the one going, I can put it up on Thursday, so you can still get it to me by Wednesday, but Eric can't comment on it. Anyway, last week, went to Wharton Center for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and I went in there with Mom, sat down, and I went, what's going on here? Because I see Lansing Symphony Orchestra all the time, goes to all their shows. Everybody knows that. And I went, isn't this like a lot smaller? Like I remember like in high school days, went to see Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Detroit Philharmonic or something at some place down in Detroit. And it was like massive, huge. And I went, man, they're smaller than the Lansing Symphony Orchestra. What's up with that? Well, I'm like, yeah, I think it is. The lighting was different. The whole staging was different. Well, that's real weird. Then they started playing, and I don't know how, like, half as many people could make a way richer sound, like a fuller and richer sound. And it's not like, I'm dogging on Lansing Symphony Orchestra, because I go to all their stuff, and I love it, and it's great. And I'm going to talk about a thing that I went to see from them also, but it was just like a totally different soundscape. You could hear different sections of the orchestra, like, differently. It was wild, and it's not like it was mic'd, because it was just, the band shell and them playing like it always is. It was just phenomenal. Great. They did the first piece. Then the second piece, they started, a multi-movement piece, and they brought out a soloist who is apparently their concertmaster, but she was the soloist on this night, and she was fucking incredible. Like the best I've ever seen. And I've seen soloists, up and down here and there all the time. Literally, my jaw dropped open like 3 different times as she was playing. Because whatever this piece was that they did, there was really fast technical stuff. There was all kinds of slide and all kinds of stuff. There was like fiddling 2 strings at once, but playing on both strings. Like, it was phenomenal, like crazy. And I always say that's why I love to go see live performances. Because when you're in the room with somebody who's really talented, and you get to see them do the thing that they're freaking awesome at, I don't know. It's unlike anything else. And it was just like that moment of just, wow, this is like, I shouldn't say this because I don't know, but like genius level skill. Like I've never seen anything like that before. I was like, holy cow, holy crap. And I was pumped. And then halfway through the last piece of the last movement, I started rolling back and going, someday I'm going to forget that I had this amazing experience. Like already It's, kind of coming and going because that's how it is when you get old. But I was like, I'm not going to remember this thrill that I just had of this amazing thing. But she was so great. It was a phenomenal performance. Absolutely loved it. The whole show was great, top to bottom. Then 2 days later, back to the Wharton Center, Lansing Symphony Orchestra did a Star Wars show. Music from every single Star Wars movie. It was great. Big, giant symphony orchestra, all kinds of specialty percussion that's not normally there. And the Star Wars music, regardless of what you think of the movies, especially lately, or the TV shows or anything, just like I say with Final Fantasy music, that's like the best music. It's so good. Classic John Williams plus modern day composers takes on those classic tunes for the newer movies. It was wonderful. It was great. It was a ton of fun. Just 2 awesome symphony shows in real life. Having a blast on the video game front. Played some Balatro. Still having a lot of fun with that. Doing my dailies in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Having a lot of fun with that. Then I fell into a pit. Because I think I mentioned last week that I was in a funk and Balatro pulled me out of it. And I went, okay, I'm still in a pit though. That's fun, but I can't play that all the time. What am I going to play? I had mentioned before that I got Rise of the Ronin because I knew I was going to love it. Started playing it. I hate it. Couldn't stand it. The story, the graphics were just real bad. And I'm not a graphics whore, but I started up and went, ooh, it'll get better. It didn't get better. Combat, didn't like it. Didn't like the story. Nothing was connecting. Oh, God, I just threw away $70 on this game. Oh, that sucks. Then I went to Game Pass. Downloaded a bunch of stuff. Let's start playing a bunch of stuff. That's not hitting. Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I know it's by the Rise of the Ronin type of people, but it's Three Kingdoms era. Maybe I'll try it. Started off good, then fell off a cliff. Got to the first boss. He 2-shotted me. And I went, I can't do that. No. Tried it like 3-4 times. Absolutely got killed. But okay, I don't know. I'm over. I'm done with. My life's over. But for some reason, because I had like an hour left, let me start up Liza P. Maybe this will be in the same vein as Rise of the Ronin and Wolong Fallen Dynasty. And it wasn't. And I went, oh, this game looks phenomenal. And it plays pretty fun. Like it feels like a modern game. I don't know how to describe it. Like when I played Dark Souls Remastered, it felt clunky and it was real mean. I feel like Liza P, it feels smoother. I mean, it's still stiff because it's a Soulsy type of game, but it feels right and it doesn't feel as mean. Like, sure, there are times when I turn a corner and there was a guy at the corner and he rushes me and I go, Jesus, and I have to do like a triple dodge and, half my health is gone. But I feel like when I played Dark Souls Remastered, if that happened, he'd hit me, half my health would be gone, but I'd be on like a narrow path like this and would instantly fall off and die. Or, I don't know, but I've been playing some Liza P all over this past week, an hour here and there, a couple hours here and there, and I'm just having fun with it. It's still tough, but I feel like this is the tough but fair that everybody says about the Dark Souls games. And Elden Ring, I feel like, was a pretty good balance. It was tough but fair. But when you play the older games, they're just mean, I feel like. That's how they come across to me, just mean and disrespectful of you. This feels tough but fair, and I'm having a lot of fun. And playing that, I also played some Super Mario Bros. Wonder because I wanted some color and some brightness in my life. And boy, whoa, everybody who said great stuff about that game, they're right. It's great. It's colorful. It's wonderful. The way when you get a Wonder Seed and it totally changes what's going on in the whole stage and you're doing crazy stuff. And it happens in every stage so far. Every stage has a Wonder Seed to get to totally change up that 5-minute sequence of that part of the stage. Even just the regular platform, and it's still Mario, and it's still fun, but when you get that Wonder Seed and you're like going up these starlight ramps, like up into the clouds with these rollerblading Koopa Troopas, it's crazy. It's so much fun. It brightened up my day that day. And then the other thing that's been brightening up my day lately, I was sitting on the PlayStation. I didn't want to do a round of Balatro. I didn't want to do Suicide Squad, or I had done my dailies already, and I went, what else could brighten up my day just here on PlayStation? Let me boot up an old classic. Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. And I had stopped like right in the middle of the Final Fantasy XIV stuff, so I finished that. Went to the Final Fantasy series stuff. I finished all that, and I had a blast. I just had fun playing with the best music ever. And I'm down to the only 2 games that are left are Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI, the 2 closest to my heart. And I went, okay, I'm saving those for a rainy day because they're going to be the best. But I'm just having a blast. I'm so glad for Liza P, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Theater Rhythm especially, because I've been in like a low stinking funk for games other than like Balatro and my dailies, and they yanked me out. I don't know how, because I was afraid of playing Liza P, and sometimes it's still hard, and sometimes it's a little scary, but something about it, just when I play it, I'm smiling. I'm having a great time. So it's been a good week because I'm smiling and having a great time. How about you, Eric?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was smiling this weekend. I went to Holland, Michigan, everybody. I went there for a different reason than everybody else was there, but I got to participate anyway. I went for a Clued Up event with the family where you get on this cool little Pokemon Go type app. You walk all over the place talking to these different little people and solving mysteries and murders and et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we were there for. However, happened to be the Tulip Festival weekend as well. So we got to see this international delight of just 15,000 plus tulips of all sorts of different colors, variations, etc., all across this little town. And it was bustling. It was busy as busy can be. I already told Matt, but I'll tell you, I did not realize this was an event that it is. I know it was an event. I mean, I grew up in Michigan. I know it's there my whole life. But there were so many foreign people here visiting, obviously tourists, than I've seen anywhere else in my life, period, in my life. And I'm like, what in the hell? Who comes to Michigan for anything? We have nothing. There's nothing here. Well, apparently I'm wrong. Apparently they love the Tulip Festival in Holland, Michigan, because they were there in force, and that was great. And that was awesome. It's nice to see that we got something here in Michigan everybody likes to do. And I know I'm just there's other things in Michigan that tourists come for, but this in general, you don't see it too often. So it's like, whoa, hey, look at that. Hey, that's a thing. So I got to see that this weekend. Not to mention, of course, with the fam, seeing lots of tulips, walking around, solving these murder mystery puzzles. It was a great time. Good time. In fact, funny enough, my sister who lives in Ohio was up there at the very exact same time, literally, with her mother-in-law and daughter. And we sent pictures saying, hey, we ended up at this tulip festival. And she goes, what? We were there. And all the pictures of all the same spots we were in, they were in.
Nice.
We just kept ghosting each other throughout the entire morning somehow. Well, I can tell you how. It's because my head's on the phone looking at where we got to go for the next clue and reading them and trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. So I wasn't doing the usual Eric scanning everywhere, constantly seeing who's around me. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have seen her and we would have met up. But still fun, still a good time. Beyond that, just did some normal life stuff, nothing bigger. Getting out there and just mowing the lawn, though, man, I'll tell you, man, wow, what an experience, Matt. Mowing that lawn. Just out there with the dumpy old rider.
So I know what I'm going to have to do now. I'm going to have to go, and I'm going to go to Best Buy before all the physical media is gone. I'm going to go to that rack of cards.
Oh, you're going to do it.
I'm going to get to that rack of cards. I'm going to look for it. I'm like, hey, sir, can you come over and help me? Is there a card here for a Lawn Mowing Simulator 2022 or whatever one you did a release of all the way back in the day? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. Here you go, Sonny. I hobbled into the back, and I hobbled on back, and here's the dusty old card we still got. And Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, fucker. You can mow the lawn in the winter then. That's what you're going to get.
I don't want to do it. I won't do it. You're going to waste your money. Don't do it. But I do, there's a charm about mowing the lawn. There is. I don't like it in general just because of allergies and stuff. But, man, it's sometimes nice when the sun's on you and you're just zooming around. And like I've said before, you're seeing the lawn, you're seeing the yard that a gamer like me typically doesn't see. Because I'm usually too busy either doing chores and cleaning or doing whatever tasks, or I'm in my basement with my monitors in front of me. So it's just a nice moment where I get to be in the yard and go, hey, I got a yard. Look at this thing. This is neat. Why'd I buy this? I'm never here except to mow it. Huh. So a little strange.
Well, this summer when the kids are playing out and you got to go watch the kids, now you can take your portal and you can have yard time and video game time at the same time.
Yep. I'm going to take that lazy boy, put in the shade, get the portal out. Hey, play to your heart's content, children. As long as you don't bother Daddy. He bothered me 3 times. We're going back inside. That's the rules. Them's the rules. You better adhere to them.
Even better, bother me 3 times. You're going back inside. I'm still sitting here in the shade.
I'm just gonna sit out here by myself.
And if I have to come back in there to yell at you, then we're in real trouble.
Then the day's over.
Yeah.
Goodness. So with that being said, that's it on the real world front. On the video game front, I played 2 games, 2 only. One of them, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I did it, folks. It's over. I have beaten this game, and oh my God, there's a lot to talk about. There's so much to talk about, and I can't. Because it's the usual. Matt will never play it when I play it. Then I'll play it a year later. The same with the Matt plays games, and I won't play them till later. And we'll never, ever have a conversation ever on any game we play that's beyond the, it's a game that's great. We like the game, and it's got characters in it and stuff. You're gonna like it when you play it. Guaranteed.
I'm excited for when you finally go back to and then beat Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. You're like, oh man, can you believe what Kachima did? Whatever the guy's name is, and then however you pronounce it, and I'll go, who? The guy who did that thing. I'll go, yeah, that was nuts. That was crazy. But brother,
Crazy times.
Then the end, yep. Oh yeah, It's gonna be good. It'll be good.
It's gonna be worse for me though. 6 years, 5 years from now, when Matt plays Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
True, yeah.
Then, hey Eric, that was a neat game with the thing. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing Resurrection right now. The
Yeah,
new one's
exactly.
out, Huh?
Finish up the last one. I don't know, bro. Yeah, sure, it's great. I'm glad you got around to it. Here, high five to you. There you go. Good job.
It's good.
Jeez. But I played it and I beat it. And I want to talk. I'll just say the only thing I'll say it's not even spoilery, but we got to talk about the black materia. Because some stuff happens and some things are going down and there's some changes. And God, I think they're being sneaky. There's some sneaky stuff going on here. Some sneaky stuff. They're covering it up. And there's, man, it's a whole thing. You can go read a bunch of posts. There's like all sorts of theories on all sorts of stuff going on. But after watching it and seeing it, and then going back and reading what some of these people are yapping about, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense right there. And then that, it's just like, oh, that one, no, you're crazy. That's just nuts. There's no way. You're out of your mind. You're coming up with some shit. That doesn't even make sense. It's fun. A lot of fun. Good times to be had. The game, like I said, it's very long. But in the end, it was worth it. And let me tell you, I did end up skipping. I didn't finish the island to get the final summon. I didn't do it. Sorry, didn't do it. But you know what? I beat the game without even trying. So you don't need the island, Matt. You don't need the island. You can just leave it there. It's fine. You're going to beat the game.
What a failure. What a failure. Even though I told you not to do it and encouraged you, I'm still just going to rub your nose in it. So 6 years later when I do it, I'm like, hey, man, I did the whole island and everything. I actually got the thing, I even did the thing. So
well,
somebody
right,
I know who loves the game.
You keep rubbing my nose in it, you're going to get the, hey, man, I guess you know what I'm doing, Matt? What, Eric? I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again. I start over. I'm doing it all over again.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, why would you do that, Eric? Don't do that. I did it. I'm doing it.
That's true. Well, see, in 6 years, you'll have played it 3 times, so it'll work out well. Yeah.
Jeez, oh, Pete. So, yes, it's gone. I would love to have a convo on it. Maybe it'll happen someday. I don't know. But let me tell you, that's a game indeed. Then, of course, I've put up Stellar Blade. Got that back up and running. I've played it intermittently here and there a little bit. And I did just like we talked about. I got that sucker on easy, and I'm cruising through. I'm having a blast. I've fought a couple more bosses now. And once again, even on easy, the bosses, they're not challenging like you want them to be if you want a Souls-like game. I'm not trying to say they are, but they're fun. And you can die. Like if you don't follow the mechanics, you'll die. But it's just enjoyable. It's like a regular adventure game. It's just like I'm playing an old school adventure game. Where, yeah, you can die, but as long as you do the mechanics, you're not going to die. That's just the way adventure games worked. You make the right jumps, you're not going to die. You dodge when you're supposed to dodge, you're not going to die. You can get hit a couple times. No big deal. It's perfect. This is the way these games should always have this option. So you can just go have a fun adventure game time and not a Souls-like game time. I want people to have that experience if they want it. But for me, man, it's just fun just exploring these environments, doing exactly what I told you guys I wanted to do. Read all the lore, do all the things, look in every nook and cranny for every upgrade possible, and just have a good time. And that's what I'm doing with it.
There's so many crossovers with your experience with that and what I've been having in Liza P, but I already talked way too much about it. So I'm not going to spin it into a conversation we can have on the What You Playing.
A whole convo? Yeah. Well, maybe we will next week. We'll see where we're at and what we got to talk about. But, there might be some nuggets there because I'm hoping to get a lot of Stellar Blade in this weekend, and I'm sure you'll get more of Liza P in, so maybe we'll meet up in the middle. But that's been it. That's the week.
And so also this week, there's already too many damn games out. But there were two games that caught my interest this week. I'm going to talk about one of them because I can't really talk about the other one. I'm totally saving that one. What I'm going to talk to you about is a game I'd never heard of, had no expectations for, knew nothing about until this week when I saw Noisy Pixel put out a review of it, and I've seen no other reviews of it. This is a game called Heading Out, which dropped on the 7th of May, developed by Serious Sim, published by Saber Interactive, apparently only for PC right now. If you look like on the Google search, it says it's out for every console, but their actual website only shows PC, and the Twitter only says find us on Steam. So I'm saying it's for PC, and this is a mix between a race car driving game and a total narrative, almost visual novel type of game. Because you start off, your main character, you're a person. You get asked a couple of questions like at the start of the run. The ones that I've seen in the review are like, what about your first love, something else, and then like your greatest regret. And so you answer the questions there. And I believe those questions can kind of factor into the kind of experiences you see on that run. So you wake up, you have a premonition of dying in a car crash, but you see this guy drive off in blue streaks, just away he goes. And so you go to chase down this guy, and you're driving essentially all across America. So you have this map of America, and you're following like little white lines, and you choose your destination, and then your car kind of goes vroom along. And then at each of the different spots, you have these visual novel, or I don't know how to say visual novel, but like graphic narrative adventure type of experiences where you see this happen on the road, or because of something you did at a previous stop, now you get the next part of that story at this next stop. And at each of those stops, you have dialogue decisions you can make. And those can affect things down the road. They can affect you right now. You also have to deal with putting money in your car, earning money to pay for things in these different stops. And as you're driving down the highways behind you start creeping out with red. And that's your fear is chasing you down. So you can't ever go back. You have to keep pushing forward. And, if you get stopped by the cops or this narrative decision makes you stay an extra day, do you have an extra day before the fear creeps up on you and ends your run? Who knows? And then as you're going around, an easy way to earn money is to challenge people to street races. And then it goes into a full-on 3D racing game. Now, I've heard the racing mechanics, they're not the greatest, but from the footage I've been watching, they look like a lot of fun. And speaking of watching, you got to go watch some trailers of this game. You got to go watch a review, because this game is in a very cool, very stylish, black and white and gray style. Think of Sin City, but not quite as stark, because you got red, tail lights and red streaks in the distance. You have like yellow for caution. Those are the only colors that are popping, other than the blue of this other racer's legendary racetracks. And so it's just a really cool meshing of two different things. The stuff I've seen from the narrative sections is really cool. The fact that you can kind of follow your quest on this run as you go through it to develop the little stories that you're interacting with people with. You can respond in different ways to make the stories go different ways. It just looks like a ton of fun. And when you do one run, whether you fail or succeed, you can go back in, do another one, play it a different way, play it more risky, drive pretty safe, be nice to people, be mean to people. It just sounds like a ton of fun. Now, when I say runs, it's not like a roguelike, but it's one of those narrative adventures like Road 96, I would say, or like an old game called The Yawg, where you play it and you make your decisions, and the decisions affect the end of that story's run, but you can play it again and make totally different decisions and have a totally different run. This game came out of nowhere. Like I said, I knew nothing about it. Watching it in action, I go, damn. That looks like it's for me. Seeing the graphics, the 2D, like comic panel stuff in those narrative sections, I go, man, that art style looks great. This looks like it's for me all the way. I don't know that I have time to play it anytime soon, but I'm going to keep it on my wish list. I'm going to keep an eye out for it. It's Heading Out. If you love narrative decisions, if you love racing, if you love a racing game, I'm sure it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $17.99 on sale on Steam right now for its launch week. Probably only $20 at a base. So especially if you catch it on sale, it's going to be definitely worth it. But it just looks really cool, really interesting. A mashup of two different things I didn't know I need, but you combine that with the graphical style, and ooh, I'm on board. Check it out. It's Heading Out.
I'll tell you what, speaking of games you didn't think you might actually like, here's one for you. V-Rising, everybody. And you might say, well, hasn't it been around? It has. It's been in early access since 2022. Developed by Stunlock Studios, published by Level Infinite. It is out now officially. The game is here for PC and soon, sometime later this year, for PlayStation 5. But I'll go ahead and talk about it now because this is its real official launch date. I recall looking at this title at some point in the past, and we talked about this title. And I recall seeing, of course, the level building stuff and immediately wanting out. Well, I might be wrong in this because I went and watched a couple reviews of this game. And whilst that's true, you do build your castle. That's pretty much like it. The rest of the game is a Diablo-like adventure that you're going on, collecting loot, upgrading your systems, upgrading your skills, and then, of course, finally going up against the big baddie, who is like Dracula Ultimate or the Ultimate Lord or Undead Lord, whatever the hell he's called. It's Dracula. No duh. What did you think it was going to be? But that's where it got me. I went, wait a minute. This is like a Diablo game. And on top of it, it's a Diablo light type game because you're not just thrust into the world with everybody there doing whatever. You can pick, I want to go to PvE realms, PvP realms, or I just want to play a solo adventure in my own world and never encounter people ever again, never deal with it. So for people like Matt who don't want to have to deal with anybody else, you don't. You just go in your own little server, play your own little game, and have a wonderful time doing it. And then, like I said, it's a Diablo light, and that the gear isn't like, you do upgrade, there's upgrades to all the gear and stuff, but it's not to the extent and the craziness that Diablo is. You're not looking at every piece for the minute stats and every upgrade, and this synergizes with this better. It's dumbed down. It's more along the lines, these stats are improved, this gives me this instead of this, which is better. It's very clear cut pretty much with what you're trying to do instead of having to get into the dirt with all the different upgrades. And of course, they have, you build your vampire, it comes out of hibernation, so you do get to do some character customization. From what I saw of it, it's neat. It's not like super extensive. It's not going to blow your mind or nothing, but it was fun and it looked pretty cool overall. Now, the game itself does look fantastic. The baddies, the way the environments are and how the map's set up, where when you go to another branch, it shows you like all of the bosses that are going to be in that branch. And then you go in there and away you go. You go through the level, fight the boss, keep progressing until you've done all the bosses, who all have very cool, fun mechanics. But the about 4 or 5 I saw, they weren't like overly silly, like insane where, hey, I got to die 10 times to figure out what the hell's going on. It's no, look, he likes to send out 3 bubble burst beams that bounce off trajectory, stuff like that. I have to avoid that. This one likes to send up a God beam ray and it just follows you around. So, I can't stand there and melee him. I have to think outside the box on this one and run and gun, come in, hit, dash, that type of thing. So each boss kind of has like a mechanic or two they do. And once you figure that out and synergize with it, you'll get them down. And then, of course, they do the really cool thing I love, which is the color leveling type thing. So like if it's an MMO kind of type of thing. So you get into an area, all of a sudden the baddies all turn red. That's an indicator that, you might want to go back a little bit and grind a little bit and then come this way. So you're not just going in going, I suppose I can access this area, so I should be able to beat it. No, it gives you an indication of where you're at compared to these baddies. So that's pretty cool. Weapon-wise, you're picking from all sorts of your stuff, crossbows, swords, melee stuff, this and that. That's all there. It's the usual Diablo-type experience. And then I'll get to the part that I didn't like, which is the castle. You're going to build yourself a castle. It can be up to 6 stories in the solo. I think it's less if you play online with other people, just because when you play with other people, the map's going to open up and there's plots of land everywhere. And so you'll have to find a plot, but of course everybody else has plots. So with the servers, et cetera, you're not going to be able to do as big and crazy as you would be able to do in your own world. But that is something for you. If you do like playing with other people in the world, that's pretty cool in and of itself, is that you're going to be able to walk up to these other people's castles, and then you can, check to duel them and take over. And in PvP realms, you can take over their castle and screw them over. I would never want to do any of that. That does not sound fun to me, but if that's cool for you, sweet. And while you're in your castle and while you're out adventuring, you're going to find pieces that you can decorate the castle with so you can start to make it your own. And that goes in pretty good depth. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and the castles they were showing they were building were really cool. And then I went, but what do you got to do? Of course, you got to collect pieces to build the castle and then furnish the castle. But on top of that, you need blood to keep the heart pumping of the castle. Otherwise, the castle deteriorates, dies, or whatever. I don't know if you lose. I don't know how it works in the solo mode. Like if you lose the castle or you lose the game. I don't really understand that mechanic of it. But I was told it doesn't really matter because you're going to get so much blood while you're playing that you're going to get like 84, 90, 50, hundreds of days ahead of when the castle would deteriorate. So you'll beat the game no problem ever before you even get close to this thing happening. So it's not really a mechanic. It is, but it isn't. And that kind of went, oh, damn, that. So in theory, I could just make a 1-story house when there's nothing in it, pump a bunch of blood in, and just go play the game and beat it. Play a fun little Diablo-like game and have a great time being a vampire. Sweet. That sounds fun. So there you go. If you want a vampire-like game, Diablo-esque, except for it has a castle build mechanic, and you go up against a bunch of faithful church people, rogue vampires, Dracula eventually, will you see death at some point? Gotta. There's no way you don't. No way you don't. This might be up your alley.
And doesn't this game also have a Castlevania DLC now, too, where you get to take on Simon Belmont and eventually get the whip if you beat him?
Yes.
I saw an ad for this before, like, the latest Angry Video Game Nerd episode, and he went, blah, 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 blah. But then you can fight Simon Belmont. And I went, what? And I tuned in, and then there was giant AoEs everywhere, just like Diablo, and I started actually taking notice and going, oh, it actually looks pretty cool.
Really does. It looks pretty neat. So if you want a game like that, it's there. I didn't really pay it much mind, and maybe it was a mistake on my part.
And now next up, it's the best section of the podcast, because we get to tell you about stuff you can download for free right now. There's too goddamn many this week, though. I'm telling you, there's too many. I started putting them in, and I went, oh, here we go. I'll fill this in because Amazon Games hasn't had its thing yet. And then they went, there's like 20 games. Like that, what was that movie where the ectoplasm came out of the kid's mouth? That was Amazon Games this time. Mm-hmm. That was Games with Prime. I'm going to start off with Epic because they got Circus Electrique, which I've told you about in a release. That's that steampunk. You're in like a weird circus and you're doing some circus management, but then you're also going out like Darkest Dungeon style and fighting freaks on the street and having all kinds of weird times. And then they got a Firestone free offer.
It's some kind of idle gotcha type game.
Okay.
Where you strategically have your troops and your main character, your hero, and you're doing stuff, and then you buy more resources, buy more of this. If you like to spend money, you can grab that up, and you get a free offer, right, Matt?
That sounds good to me, brother. And then we go to PS Plus, which I know Eric's diehard loving game that he'll never stop playing, never stop talking about, is here for free. It's EA Sports FC 24. Eric is the biggest soccer nut you'll ever heard. That's why he forced his kids to play soccer, because he loves soccer so much. He downloaded this day one. He's got his ultimate team. He's putting all his money into it. That's what he's doing.
Renpei and Lupo, they're both on the team for sure. Whoever they are, they're on the team. They're there, man. I'll tell you what. Another game you can get is Destiny 2 Lightfall. Matt put a little snore symbol in our little notes. I don't appreciate that.
Must have been somebody else.
Somebody else snuck in. Okay. Lightfall. You're basically up to speed because they've given you all the other ones before this. So you can go play the entirety of Destiny at this point. I mean, that's insane. That's a ton of game if you haven't touched Destiny and now you're just tertiary for some reason, bored or want to, or just interested a little bit. There you go, man. You can't go wrong with playing Destiny 2 all the way up to Lightfall at this point in time, especially with the release of the last one coming up. You might get hooked. You might even want to see it all the way through. Of course, that's why they did it, in case you're wondering. No duh, but still a fantastic deal. And I know Matt, isn't interested, but for all you others yahoos out there, it's a lot of game. A lot of game. For free, assuming you have PS Plus. And
then, since you have PS Plus, you also get Ghost Runner 2, which we've talked about in a previous episode, the sequel to the awesome speedrunning Wild Times Ninja cybernetic game. This one, you get riding a motorcycle, and I'll never forget the footage I've seen where you are riding the motorcycle, you flip off, you kill this guy, you wall run over there, you jump over this dude, you hack that dude, you throw a shuriken at the guy across the way, you run, and then you still land on the motorcycle, because that's still going while you're doing all the crazy stuff. And then if you don't want to go crazy, if you want to go like 3D Zelda type stuff, you got Tunic. I've heard really good stuff about that, like the in-game manual that you read as a result of like this old school game that you're playing. I've heard that's really cool. Can't wait to eventually play that one, sink my teeth into it.
That's what I want to play too. It's one of those side ones I've always wanted to get to, but just haven't. And now I have it. So what a bargain. What a day. What a deal. And of course, you're going to the Game Pass, Matt, with Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. What can I say? It's Tomb Raider, folks. Everybody knows Tomb Raider. Now you get the Definitive Edition. Go have some fun. It's there for you right now. Game Pass. What are you missing out on? Nothing. You pay a couple bucks. Hell, even Xbox knows that they're losing money left and right on this deal for you, the player. You should have it. I don't even have an Xbox, and I have it. So get it.
And you're also getting Kona 2 Broom, which, honestly, this is the one I don't know anything about. And then you got Little Kitty Big City coming up this next week, which I know Eric is pumped for. But realistically, I just wanted to put these in because next week and the next week are some really cool games. Like Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga is coming out 2 weeks from now, and I feel like next week has another really cool one. So I didn't want it to just slip by. There weren't a bunch of big ones on here, but there will be. And then you go to the Amazon free games, and I spoiled it already. You got Tomb Raider Game of the Year Edition, which is apparently different from Definitive Edition, so I don't know how that's going to work. You got Dark City International Intrigue. Then you got, just dropping today, Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition, which is a classic. Everybody should play it. Everybody's hyped on Fallout. Everybody loves playing the old Fallouts right now. Then you got Electrician Simulator for Howard. You got Nine Witches Family Disruption. You got Dark City International Intrigue, which was already there, so why did they list it twice? I don't know. Don't blame me. I'm assuming one of those is a hidden object game. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
It's what do they call it? Yes, it's like a hidden object game. Yes, you manipulate the objects, put them in the places they're supposed to go, solve the crime. There's a bunch of fires happening in the city, and you, the detective, believe it to be this wild, awesome, famous magician. So you're on the hunt to solve the mystery. And of course, you're looking at screens and pictures and putting things together, putting little bird seed in the tray. Then the bird eats it and puts the puzzle password across the thing for you. You take the puzzle password, you go back to the treasure box, opens the treasure box, gives you the 3 numbers you needed to go back to this one thing, put in the address that you needed, pops the address in, all of a sudden the door of the house opens, you get to go into the house. It's that type of game. That's the type of game that wonderful little Dark City is.
So kind of mix between a point and click and
Yes.
those hidden puzzle things.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a hybrid.
Nice.
I was hoping for just a point and click, but then it kind of did that, and I was like, well, still neat, but I don't know, kind of not in my wheelhouse. I don't know, maybe I won't play this. Check it out. We'll see. But it's there. Once again, it's free if you have Amazon Prime. And who doesn't? Only weirdos don't at this point.
So yeah, a million free games this week. Go check them out. More games to come next week. Obviously, I think the Epic Game Store, it's a mystery game. So it's a mystery to me. It's a mystery to you. It's a mystery to us all.
What isn't a mystery, though, Matt?
It's kind of a mystery, though. It's kind of.
Is it really? It isn't. It's all about the money, Matt. Money, 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 money. It's sad news. So, if you don't know, which I'm sure you do, here it happened. Microsoft went, hey, everybody, guess what we did today? And I woke up and I said, what'd you do, Microsoft? Surely it's good news because you got this really cool game show thing you're doing in June 9th to be exact, right? You did the good thing. We didn't do a good thing, Eric. And I said, no, Microsoft. What'd you do? Hey, well, we closed Tango Gameworks, Eric. And I went, what? You're joking, right? You're kidding? That's not all, Eric. We closed Arkane Austin Studios as well. I went, wait, what? Yeah, we also closed Alpha Dog Games as well. So, yeah. And I said, oh, that's it though, right? No, that's not it. We also took Roundhouse Games and we just threw all of them into our Elder Scrolls Online team. So they just work for them doing stuff in the background there now. Okay, that you broke my heart. You broke my heart. That's it though, right? No, we got more to announce, but we haven't announced it yet. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. And I went, damn.
Yeah, agreed. It sucks. It's bad news when studios close. But couple things. First of all, I'm not familiar with Alpha Dog Games or Roundhouse Games. I know one did like Mighty Doom on mobile or something like that.
Alpha Dog does the iOS stuff. They got the Wraithborn, Monstro City Rampage, Ninja Golf, Mighty Doom. And Mighty Doom's their most current one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that was still rocking and rolling. Everybody was playing. So I'm in the same boat. I didn't really know much about them besides what I'd heard like in passing years gone about what they made Android, iOS games. But yeah, I didn't know them either. But still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it still sucks regardless. Obviously, Tango Gameworks is the one that hits closest to home for me because I did play, still haven't ever finished it, but did play and enjoy Hi-Fi Rush last year, which is the big hit, which now just came over to PS5. And then now, hey, to celebrate that, everybody gets to go home and look for a new job. That totally sucks. But it also feels like, for me, because the last thing I heard other than that they made Hi-Fi Rush, because didn't they make Hi-Fi Rush and drop it, and then Shinji Mikami left? I don't remember. I feel like he was the one introducing it, and then it was like a month later, he left the studio. So it kind of feels like one of the people who was the main guys behind this whole studio left. So maybe there's some behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe some leadership action was going on, and they couldn't get the leadership they wanted with his absence. I'm not sure, but it didn't make sense but it kind of made sense because of that. They dropped the game. A little bit later, he left, and everyone went, what's going on with that? And then now this is what's going on. So I wonder, like I said, if something was coming, he booked out, they couldn't salvage it afterwards, then this happened. And then it's the story that will always be forever with Arkane Austin. Because what did they develop? What they developed the most recently? It was Redfall. What happened when Redfall came out? Every single content creator in the world says, this is poop. Developers should be ashamed of themselves. Nobody should play this game. Nobody should support it. So nobody did, and now they're gone. And I'm not saying it's everybody's fault, business decisions, companies, studios, whatever. But it's the perfect example. It just happened right now. Everybody says, these guys suck, get them out of here. They're closed now. Hey, that really sucks. That's anybody who would wish for somebody to have their jobs lost, they're terrible people. That was you. That was just you. It was you. Not you, the listener, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, you all helped in that. And of course, going back to Tango for me, Evil Within 2. They also made those two games, and those two games were fantastic, awesome games. I played and dabbled in both. Admittedly, never beat either of them, but I watched playthroughs of both of them just because I was out of time playing other games. They were awesome. So much fun to even watch. They were a great time. And then they also did Ghostwire Tokyo,
Yep.
which, if you have PS Plus, guess what? You have that for free right now. So you can go play that game.
And that's one of my side games where I want to load in and be running around Ghost and Yokai Shibuya at some point. I still haven't gotten to it yet, but that's like your Tunic. That's my Ghostwire Tokyo.
Mm-hmm. And all these, mind you, these studios are all under Bethesda, the Bethesda family. So a lot of theory is that when they got bought out, these at Tango and Arkane, they were in the middle of making said newest games, Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall. So they didn't want to shut them down. But a lot of rumors are that the plan was, as soon as they finished those games, they were going to go kapoots anyway. Because, they're tightening the ship. They've got all these different studios. They can't keep having a studio with a bunch of little studios, so they're just kind of getting rid of all the extras. I don't know. That's just a rumor. Might not be truth. The other truth might be exactly what you said. Tango, unfortunately, hey, you know what? Hi-Fi is awesome, but apparently didn't make money back. Guess what? Ghostwire Tokyo. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't. Didn't make its money back. Evil Within 2, Evil Within, neither of them ever made their money back. So Tango, while making awesome stuff, from all reports and what I've heard throughout the years, has never really made money. They're making good games, but they're just not games people are buying. So that could be something that was going on with Tango from the word go. As for Arkane, that I don't understand. Dishonored series, Prey. I mean,
you got to remember there's two different studios.
Yeah, there's Leon and there's Leon and then there's Austin. But
yeah.
Austin did Dishonored. But no, maybe they did Prey.
Yes.
And Leon did Dishonored.
Yes, Austin did Prey and then Redfall.
There you go. Okay.
So Leon has the Dishonored IP. They're working on the Blade game right now.
They're working on a Blade game, and they're still around. And they also did Deathloop.
Yes.
So Austin only did the Prey game, which we all know also did not sell very well.
But was critically acclaimed.
Critically acclaimed, but didn't sell well. Redfall, obviously, we all know what happened to Redfall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also another two-way street. Could have been a combination of just not putting money out and or just was in the cards regardless after they got done working on the game they were working on when Bethesda was bought and taken up by Microsoft. Either way, craziness, especially in the Tango Gameworks side of things, because Hi-Fi Rush, it's all over Twitter. You can't miss it. Mm-hmm. All the different remarks from Microsoft and all the heads, Phil and everybody else going, we're so glad that Hi-Fi Rush exists. These are the exact titles we want and we need and we want our people to make, but they're fired. So it's like, well, that's definitely a bad message to have for your company.
And there was another thing that I only saw it from like one certain person on Twitter, so I don't want to go too far into it, but there were people who were saying, at the time, and even Phil said it after Redfall launched and got poor reception. He said, well, we should have been more hands-on with that. We should have been more involved with it, with the working on it and with the marketing of it and everything. And somewhere in this big Twitter thread after this, they were like, yeah, but what support did they get? What ads did you ever see for Redfall? I never saw any. I saw the reveals. I saw the showcases, but that was it. And then it was like the next day, Microsoft was talking about, hey, we're gearing up. Hellblade 2's coming out in 2 weeks, like I talked about. And then this guy who was talking about all this Microsoft stuff retweeted that and said, oh yeah, it's time for the Hellblade 2 advertising campaign to spin up. And I went, 2 weeks out?
2 weeks before the game?
That should have been going on for a month now, like before this. So 6 weeks before the game launched. Like, and it got me thinking, like, what? You see movies like a year and a half before they actually drop. And I'm not saying go that crazy, but oh yeah, we'll spin up a game's marketing campaign like a week before it launches. And then, hey, it didn't get a great launch. Well, what do you expect? You didn't push it. You didn't push it. And maybe, the return on investment, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a businessman, but it made me think about it because people were talking about that with Redfall. Well, of course it failed. They didn't really support it. All right, Hellblade 2's coming out. Well, what if they don't really support that much? And that doesn't perform either. It could be just a history here. If you need to be better at supporting and launching and advertising and pumping up your stuff so that regardless of how it comes out, I'm sure Redfall wouldn't have done great regardless because of word of mouth and whatever. But if there's no hype around it, people can't buy it day one because they don't know about it. Because I didn't even know Hellblade 2 was coming out in 2 weeks until that guy tweeted that. And then I looked it up on Game Pass. It seems like a weird thing. Like they got to get better at pumping it up so that if it is good, which Hellblade is probably going to be really good, you know about it and it does gangbuster business. It's like hand in hand here.
I agree. I just feel like they've gotten so big that they're not paying attention to what they have. And I feel like they're getting to the cards too late with a lot of their titles, and that's hurting everybody involved. You got all sorts of studios that we don't even really talk about. Like Compulsion apparently's got something in the works right now, that they're excited to talk about. What's going to happen to it? That's an even smaller title than what Hellblade's going to be, and they haven't even really done anything with Hellblade. So what do you think is going to happen to like a studio like Compulsion when their game's ready to be talked about and promoted and thrown out there? Anything? Who knows? But if you keep letting that happen where half your studios or more aren't getting the support, aren't getting the advertising, aren't getting the backbone they need since they came under you thinking that was probably what was going to happen. I got to imagine they thought, hey, Microsoft's going to take us under their wings. They're going to throw out the money. They're going to get our games out there, get our games seen. We're going to make more money and grow, and it's going to be wonderful for us. It's wonderful for them. Everybody wins, but it feels like they're not getting there. They're not supporting the games. Not to the extent Embracer did, which Embracer's basically collapsed and all hell, but well, it's kind of is happening actually right now. You're starting to see it. They're starting to close studio after studio. All the studios you loved back when the EA did it, it's happening now. They're starting to disappear.
Yeah, it's real weird. I almost feel like, and I don't want to say this because it'll sound like a dated reference, but it feels like Microsoft markets their stuff like they would market like a new Windows. Hey, Windows is updating in a couple weeks. Check it out, guys. Look at new stuff. And then, all right, it launched. All right, stop the advertising. It's fine. Everybody gets it. You got to advertise it differently. You got to get people pumped. You got to have this stuff run all month. It's Hellblade month. That's what May and the last part of April should have been. Boom. And then at the end, of course, play it on Game Pass. Play it on Game Pass. Run monthly Game Pass ads. This month on Game Pass. Boom, 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 boom. 4 new titles are dropping. And even if you don't have a lot, then screw it. We got 2 new titles, and then check it out. Remember Hellblade from last month? Remember this? Remember the greatest games ever? Fallout and Elder Scrolls and all this? Play all those on Game Pass. Relive your memories. I don't know. It seems easy, but I never see I don't see a lot of ads anyway, but I don't see ads for any of their stuff anywhere.
I rarely do. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't watch a lot of TV, so everything gets through podcasts or through Twitch. But I don't see a lot of it. So I don't know what's happening. But it ain't good. And I wonder if they're going to even talk about this one, or if they're just going to try to pretend this one didn't happen, which is impossible since they've already come out and said they squared away some Bethesda issues, but they've still got some Microsoft stuff they're going to be closing down and messing with soon too. So they've already said they're not done. So you got to talk about this at some point. But I don't know what you're going to really say except for some political bullcrap that doesn't really help anybody or anything. And in fact, it's probably just going to be a negative plus on you talking and saying it. So it probably shouldn't.
Gonna have some business doublespeak, my very favorite thing. We're gonna commingle our assets and combine our algorithms, whatever's. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly what that'll be. By combining this and that, we've allocated this to do this to move forward at speeds unprecedented in the past, and we feel that the nature of this. Okay, cool. Thanks, Microsoft.
But you know what is actually cool, Eric? It's a little thing we don't get to do a lot over here, and it's a sound effect I don't get to play very much, and it's called a bing bong. And it goes a bing bong. That's how it goes. It goes bing bong.
Who's at the door?
Yeah, somebody installed a doorbell in the apartment, which is very, very much news to me. I'm quite scared by all the bing bonging because the mailman's here at the door. He's got, I don't have a sound effect for it. Oh, letters are coming out. Oh, there, I've got a letter. I have a little letter opener here with me because I actually got my mail, but I'm not going to cut up this thing that I have. We have a mailbag question from our buddy Ryan, who has changed his name to Gnomable. So let me know how you want to be addressed, sir. But he writes, and he wrote this last month before some bad stuff went down and we had to cancel one of the shows and put it off. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, we're finally getting to it because he writes, with all the studio restructuring and project cancellations, hey, a very timely mailbag question. Are there any canceled games you still think about? Some games I still miss are Scalebound and an obscure indie called Against the Wall, and he linked to Against the Wall in our Discord, so I went and watched the Kickstarter video for it, and this resonated with me and should with you. This is a weird indie game where everything is up against this vertical surface, and you have this tool that allows you to climb up. And so I was thinking like a grappling hook or like magnetic boots, but this tool allows you to pull out these weird-shaped blocks and then jump up them as you go on the wall. And I went, hey, that's Catherine, that's Pushmo. Obviously, there wasn't like a demon at the bottom trying to get to you, but I went, anything that slides blocks out?
Oh, yeah.
That's us. That's us.
That's what we do.
So now, this is one that I think about. It's going to be Against the Wall.
Yeah, well, you're never going to get it because it's one of his examples of canceled games that are never coming. And I got two for you. I'll give you one right now, and that's Conker's another Bad Fur Day. It was in the making. Rare was going to do it. I was so excited. I was like, I loved Conker's Bad Fur Day. What a fun time I had playing that game. Me and Shay just hanging out and laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Look at these lewd and crude and strange jokes. This is so fun and different. We had a good time. And I was so happy to hear I was going to get to do it all over again. And then Microsoft, also relevant to this time and conversation, bought Rare and said, we're going to be your masters now. And you're not making that stupid Conker's Another Bad Fur Day. And it got canceled. So it never got made. It disappeared in the annals of time. They made a little weird, stupid Conker's game based off whatever dumb... They had some headgear, some weird like 3D crap they did later on, but it was not Conker's Another Bad Fur Day, folks.
Because they just remastered the old one, right?
The old one.
Plus they added like a Call of Duty type of intro to it or something. That's what I'm remembering. Okay.
Yeah. No, they never did the sequel, which they were going to do. So there's my first canceled game, Gnomable. All right? That's it. That's one of them. And I'm very sad about it, and I don't like the fact that I had to recall it. And remember that it's never coming again. Thank you.
And Eric and I had this conversation off air, and I feel like what I think of more are the sequel-baited games that will never come. But I was able to think of two also. And one, I will say Scalebound, it's not one that sticks with me, but that was Platinum at the height of their powers back in the day. So it should have been awesome. So I see why it resonated with you. But one, a recent one that I don't know that I'll think about it forever, but it's one that is a sequel to a game that I loved for many years ago. Was the Night in the Woods sequel, which was called, oh man, I had it and I lost it. But it was going to be a follow-up to Night in the Woods, which was that narrative adventure type of adventure game where you ran around and you were like teenagers who never really grew up, and you kind of had emotional experiences with your friends and with your family, and weird stuff was going on in the town. Loved that game. Loved it when it came out. Absolutely loved it. They had only recently, from now, announced they were working on a sequel. And then one of the devs got sick, had a bunch of medical issues, and said, it's officially canceled. We can't finish it. It's over. It's done. I feel like that's one of the ones that's going to, I don't know that I'm going to like be super sad when I think about it. But when I think about it, I'm going to go, dang, Night in the Woods was so good. I spent so much time running through that town, finding all the secrets, doing all the little things. To not see those characters again. I'm never going to be able to see Greg, what Greg turned into, what happened with him. Man, that sucks.
You're never going to know. My last one, I'm going to mention one as a cliff note, and then the other is a proper one. But I can't not say it since we'll probably never be on this topic again, at least in any kind of legitimate future where I'm remembering this stuff. Bulletstorm 2. Bulletstorm 2 wasn't actually in production, but they wanted to do it, but it didn't make the money it needed to. So then later, Gearbox thought this was a great title, and so they did the remaster or whatever that me and Matt played the hell out of and had such a wonderful time. And then Gearbox said, if this gets people interested, we'll do a part 2. Well, they would fund People Can Fly to do a part 2, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and it didn't. It still did not get people interested. It still did not make enough money. So they said, well, we did what we could. It's just it's in the sky. It's in the stars. Nobody's going to ever want a Bulletstorm 2, so they never embarked on that adventure. That's the story of Bulletstorm 2, folks.
There's two guys who want Bulletstorm 2. I want Bulletstorm 2, goddammit. And instead of a Duke Nukem's World Tour mode, you put Nuke Dukem's World Tour mode in there, and people
Hell
go,
yeah.
what's this? And they'll say, this is for those two guys who want this game.
That's right. Us too. From Third Shift, suckers. Where's them shirts, Joe? Where's them shirts? I want that shirt. You promised me the shirt.
God damn it.
Damn it. Damn you.
No, we should have saved that for 400. That's the
that's
Third
true.
Shift memorial episode.
Oh, you take it back, because I'll bring it back up next week then. I'll get Joe. I'm going to hit him up on Twitter. I told you. I threatened it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, Joe. He still lets me talk to him if I want to. I can still get on his DMs. Oh, goodness. Now, my legit one, since we're rock and rolling here, is one very, very, very recent. And that's Dead Space 2, the remake.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing it. They were looking at it. They were ogling it. They were putting together the concepts and the stories for it. They tried to say they weren't, but then they word spoke themselves into a lie, which actually they did. So why they lied and tried to say they hadn't when they actually did, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is when the truth came out, they actually were going to do Dead Space 2, the remake. But Dead Space didn't sell nothing. They made nothing on it. It lost money. And then they went, no, never mind. So we will never see a Dead Space 2 remake. And I can't tell you, I love Dead Space to death. I love that franchise. And 2 was just, the pinnacle of the game. It was the best one by far. God. And I never get it. I'll never get it.
That one it blows my mind. And I mean, it shouldn't, because like you said, it didn't sell gangbusters, and that's the only thing that's important to big companies anymore. But Dead Space 1 was great. The remake, everybody who played it absolutely flippin' loved it. You played it, you're a diehard Dead Space 1er, and you went, this is even better. And they changed a little bit of things, and they changed everything for the better. And they made it cooler. So imagine how much cooler Dead Space 2, the remake, would have been received. It would have been amazing. And then I always mention it would have held out hope for a proper Dead Space 3 remake, but of course that's now completely dust in the wind.
Completely over.
But to not even do 2. You did 1, and then, we won't even do 2, the other one that everybody flippin' loved.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense from a monetary perspective, I get it, but that doesn't make sense at all. That's stupid.
No, it's honest to God sad, and it just sucks. I really, honestly, on this one, wish I'd never heard that they were actually going to do it for sure. Like, I figured they would, but, you didn't know.
Yeah.
But to come out and someone go, yeah, they were, and now it's gone, I'm like, I hate this world.
Well, I'll give you another one. I could give you possibly 2, but I'll give you a very obscure one, because I can't even link to the Kickstarter anymore. I did my due diligence, and I went back and I went, I know I backed this game on Kickstarter, and then it was immediately canceled, or it canceled right before all the money was going to go to the developer. But usually on Kickstarter, there's a list of projects you backed and projects that were canceled. It's not even in the canceled list anymore. And I don't remember what it was called, but the gist of the game was you were Miyamoto Musashi, but it was in the far future, and you had like a cybernetic arm, and you were fighting giant mechs in this, I won't even say cyberpunk, but it was like giant mecha meets old school Japan, and it looked so cool. And they only had concept art, and I don't think they even had a proper trailer for it or anything. So nothing was in development. You couldn't see the game be played. But I remember a beautiful write-up in that Kickstarter and saying, oh, it's going to follow his story, but obviously it's twisted because it's this future with a cybernetic arm, and he's going to get cybernetic parts and new abilities, and he had a blade sword at one point, and it sounded amazing. Like being a legendary samurai in this future, hacking up giant mechs. It sounded incredible. And I went, yes, take all my dollars. I don't care. This is one of the first Kickstarter things I ever saw even. So way back in the day when it started. And I went, well, what's Kickstarter? Boom. I stumbled upon this. And like I said, the page is completely gone. I don't even know what it was called. There's other Musashi games that come out that are about mechs. That's not this game, because it was beautiful. It was right there. It was going to be everything that I wanted. And then right before they would have gotten the money to actually start making it, it went down and it was gone. And it's gone forever because, like I said, it's wiped off the face of the earth. I can't even tell you what it was, but that's one. When you asked me about it, especially when I saw your obscure Kickstarter there, Nomable, I went, that's mine. That's my little white whale from 20 years ago, however many gosh darn years ago it was, that it popped into my brain and I went, God, that would have been so good. And even if it was trash, who knows? Who knows what Kickstarter games come out to be? But maybe because it was canceled, it can forever be amazing. Just think, well, I was going to say, just think about that for Dead Space 2, but don't think about that. No. Think that it would have been crap so you won't be sad. That's what you should do.
I'm just going to let it disappear, man. I'm going to let it just fade away from my memory. Because, if you reach a golden age of 41, you start to find that you can let things actually slip now. Because I have a great memory, but I'm finding I can just let stuff go away. So it's a new skill, but also not a great thing either sometimes.
I was going to say, it is a new skill, but you can actively remember things and then forget things. Uh-huh. Like I've been in the middle of a moment at the theater and go, I can't forget this. And it's locked in. Or I can look at myself in the mirror and go, it's okay to forget about that. And then it's not gone right away, but it never comes up.
Away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool skill. But you know what? There you go, man. You happy, Noble? Did you like dredging up some memories, some sad stuff?
Some sad times for everybody.
Oh, Pete's, man. God bless. No, it was a great question, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so what about you out there in podcast listener land? What games that have been canceled do you still think about? Because I'll be honest, I extra did due diligence, and I Google searched for famous canceled games, and a lot of the ones that came up, I don't even remember, or they weren't big enough to stick in my brain. But if they were big enough to stick in your brain, let us know via the email thirdshiftme@gmail.com, on the Twitter machine at ThirdShiftMe. Find us on Facebook under Third Shift. And also, if you want to send us some congrats via voice, via text, via anything for our 400th episode coming up next week, get it to us by Tuesday or Wednesday to be part of the show. Do it via all those things. Hit up the Discord, the Patreon, hit up my house, do all the things. You know what it is. You know how it is.
You know the dealio, folks. You can also hit up Patreon. Like what you do, want to celebrate. Hey, want to give us a gift for the 400th episode. Head on over there. Because like I said, it is a little tip jar. It's a gift thing. Whatever and anything y'all throw our way, fantastic. We appreciate the hell out of it. But if you can't, you're like, man, money's tight. Get it. You can support us by doing a mailbag question just like Noble did. Just like that. Just like that. And we'll talk about it. We'll have some conversation about it. And you'll go, golly gee, now I know what Matt and Eric think about that particular thing. That's a wonderful thing. And then maybe you'll disagree. And then you'll come back with another question and say, how are you so stupid? And I'll say, damn. Then we got to have a mailbag question about why I'm stupid. That's fun. That'll be a great time. And if you want to have that great time, hey, like I said, throw in the mailbag questions and get it rocking and rolling. Or just give us a 5-star rating. You could do that. Maybe even leave a comment. Be like, oh, you guys are so cool. And I didn't actually mean you're really stupid, Eric, but I appreciate you having a whole conversation about why you're stupid. That was fun. You could do all that. And that's up to you. Do it, don't. I don't know. We'll still be here. But I do like the interaction. So maybe do it.
Absolutely do it. And this whole time, since you were talking about just like that, there's a Ric Flair edit to music that goes,
Just like that. Just like that.
It's been running through my head this whole time. But another thing that you listeners can do is listen to the very next episode, which will be dropping on or around, because I can drop it whenever I want, the 15th or the 16th of May on iTunes and Stitcher, on Podbean, on Spotify, and on YouTube. And as I always say, hey, if you like what we're doing, like to help us out, please give us a like, a rating, review, a comment, a subscription, any kind of good thing on any one of those good services, because it does help us out. And we really do appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. We appreciate it so very much. Get on there. Get those iTunes ratings. 5 stars. Come on, people. It's 400 next week. I want to see a 5-star rating. Take it. Put it in there. Make me fly to the moon like this crane. Like cranes fly. You know what I'm saying? Woo-hoo! I want to be like that with my little long skinny legs just fluttering in the back like that. Oh, come on. Make me proud.
And with that, there's nothing else to say but... Don't forget to say.
Shut up and sit down.
Well, gentlemen, you remember one thing. Ric Flair is forever, and so is NWA.
Long limousine, just like that.
Jet airplanes,
Just like that.
custom-made clothes.
Just like that. And any woman in the world I want. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that.
Woo! Looking so fine. Show 'em what's cooking in Atlanta, GA tonight.